Hello, sir. How
Hello.
are you?
I'm all right.
I'm enjoying this start to the season, aren't you?
You're enjoying this start to the season, are you?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that a link
yeah,
to anything?
yeah,
It's a good,
yeah.
I've visualised this start for a long
Yeah.
time. It's been good. I'm enjoying this start because it's so rare that we get to talk about scoring 4 goals against a really poor opposition. But enough about Brentford.
Whey!
Whey.
You'll see on the ticker across the bottom of the screen, it is post-match Leicester, and let's all laugh at ... So I guess we filled in the first of those already.
I mean, I know it's early days, but there's just something, especially we were all talking about it on the way home. We've been there. We've been that team that are full of, strangers and mercenaries and, post Wenger era, trying to adjust to that, and the fan base being totally toxic, and it just, being the butt of everyone's jokes, frankly.
Well,
So
they are the gift that keep on giving, aren't they?
they are at the minute. They are at the minute.
Well, look, we'll come on to them because we will do a little roundup of the weekend's results, and you're keeping an eye on the Liverpool game. There's about 5 minutes left in that, so
Yeah.
And it's 1-1 against Palace. Beating Palace 2-0 isn't for everyone, obviously. So
Clearly, yeah.
Anyway, Leicester at home.
Leicester.
I read a tweet that, I don't know, maybe it was Arseblog who said it, that the 2 for Leicester flattered them and the 4 for us was quite harsh. And actually, I can see what he means, because we were very relaxed, but actually we got pegged back twice to within a goal. And it could have got jittery, but anyway, it didn't. So what's your kind of, what was your...
I think that's right, because you look at both of their goals, totally avoidable. Bit of communication with Saliba on his own goal, and Ramsdale won't be kicking himself about the second one. And then I didn't realise quite how many other chances we had until watching the highlights later. But Jesus could have had a hat trick in the first 20 minutes.
He was really kind of angry at the end that he hadn't scored more than 2.
Yeah, and what a brilliant position to be in.
Yeah,
isn't that great? So yeah, I totally get that. My couple of things. I'm just trying not to get too excited because I don't want to be that guy who goes, "Oh, we've had 2 good results at the start of the season.
We're going to win everything."
We're going to win everything. I know that's not the case, clearly, but I think it's not the case of, and I'm actually going to call back to the cheesy thing that Arteta said, that it's the whole. Have you seen all the Amazon documentary yet?
I've done 4.
Has he talked about the what's better, the journey or the destination yet?
I've just seen that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, what's better, the journey or the destination? And he says it's none of them. It's the company. But I sort of know what he means. I think it's a little bit of middle management speak going on there. But the thing I took from the Leicester game was just the vibe of the whole thing. I don't remember a time of there being such positivity, because even when things have been good, and I'm talking, the Emirates era more than anything, since I've been a match-going fan, where actually, and it did stand for those 2 Leicester goals. There was an occasion or several last season where we'd be on top, we might even take the lead. But if we gave the opposition a sniff, and let's say they scored, that was it. Everything popped. The atmosphere with the crowd popped. The performance of the players dropped, and everything kind of just deflated in front of us. But on Saturday, Saliba, making his home debut, makes a mistake, scores an own goal. Leicester could have had their tails up. We could have dropped our heads, and we scored again within a minute and a half.
But the crowd reaction was,
and that was very telling. You know, we're in the North Bank, and it yes, there was disappointment. Oh, for God's sake! But it wasn't long before everyone was going, right, come on, here we go. And I've never known that with Arsenal fans. We love a moan and
we don't have a lightning rod on the pitch anymore. Xhaka will probably be the closest player to that, but he's really kind of almost reinvented himself within the Arsenal fan base perspective. Last season, back in the last season, he was really good.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of his redemption arc has been quite marked, but I hear today he's been listed along with Gabriel Jesus as the assist, like the support captains, if you like, for Ødegaard. And you know, and I know you said that when I've watched the 6th episode of All or Nothing, I'll warm to him even more. I mean, I've never minded him as a character, certainly not. Yeah, he kind of has these kind of the red mist descends every now and then, but you know, we've had a few of those players down the years. Yeah, like, but he's not. His red card last season was harsh, considering
the one against Man City.
Yeah, what other things have gone on as well. Like, but anyway, but yeah. So there's no player on the pitch, on the field, or on the bench that Arsenal fans aren't behind.
And how much stronger does our bench seem? You know, we're bringing on the likes of Tierney and Smith Rowe
and Tomiyasu,
and it's not weakening our team.
But no, if anything, it's adding another kind of dimension and strength to it.
And the big buzz sort of phrase at the minute, and I hear it more in rugby union at the moment, is about substitutes being called finishers. About this idea of, you know, you bring on players with a view to either alter what's going on the pitch or continue it, but obviously with you know, fresh energy and all those sorts of things as well. And I think it's also, like all top sports, it's a squad game, so you've got to be able to keep those players happy. And I think referring to them as finishers and using them in that more dynamic way is a way of, you know, keeping them made to feel like they're important and treating them as such.
And it also serves to fire them up even more.
Yeah.
I said to you when Tierney and Tomiyasu came on, and Eddie after them, that they'll be so fired up because they realise that if they don't up their game even more, raise the competitive levels even more, they'll be limited to 10, 15-minute cameos because you can't. I know Saliba scored an own goal, but apart from that, in 2 games, considering he's 21, centre-back, newly debut in the Premier League, he's not put a foot wrong.
His response, having scored an own goal,
was brilliant. Yeah,
it's just unbelievable. Yeah, exactly.
And so Ben White's not going to get in at centre back, so he's going to be more determined to hold down the right back slot. Zinchenko has. I mean, I don't have the tactical brain or nous to work out the roles Zinchenko plays, and I certainly can't from row 5 in the North Bank. That doesn't help me work out how on earth he's playing in this setup, because I said to you about 5 times on Saturday, Zinchenko's playing in midfield. Like, I mean, he's like proper central midfield. Like, he's not even just drifting in a little bit. And it's like, which is an interesting. I mean, lots of people raving about his performance on Saturday. I know that he wasn't caught out for the Maddison goal. There was an overlap, and the run up Maddison wasn't followed by whoever else was supposed to be tracking back. And I think Ramsdale would be disappointed to be beaten like that. But as I think it was Arsblog again said, he'll be disappointed it went through his legs, but you can't stand with your legs together. It's not, you can't stand like that. So you have to have your legs apart. And Maddison did fairly put his foot through it. So it was hit with a degree of power. Yeah, it doesn't look good. But, I'll err on the side of defending Ramsdale, really, because it's in our own interest that he doesn't suffer any kind of dip in confidence.
There's no complaints about the games. Yeah, disappointing to concede, but the reaction is everything. The players responded, the crowd responded, and we just never, like you say, for a game that was 4-2, even and when they kept coming back, we just never, we weren't worried. And I'm an extremely pessimistic football fan, and I know you have your moments, but it just felt like, no, we'll keep going and we'll keep pushing, and we've got the quality to see this through.
It was a bizarre feeling. It really was. It was strange.
Oh, it feels totally alien.
Yes, but it was like that.
Yeah,
it should have been far more nervy. But I think the fact that it took us less than 2 minutes on both occasions to re-establish our 2-goal cushion, which was, again, not like us really.
No.
So we have to say something about Jesus's first goal.
Well, yeah, I challenged people on the way home. I don't even know if I mentioned it when we were stood there in the stands. I struggle to think of any player at any club, and I'm sure there might be one or two examples out there, if you've scored a better first goal for a club.
Yeah.
I mean, the only two that so far that other people have suggested to me are the likes of Xhaka actually scored a quite a long distance effort against Hull, I think it was, which was his first goal for the club. But yeah, wow, what a chip, what composure, what audacity to do that, and it just happened in slow motion. It was just brilliant.
Yeah, you did ask me that on Saturday. I think I came up with Bergkamp. I said against Southampton, but you corrected me. His first goals were not against Southampton; they were against, was it Leicester?
I think it was Leicester, of all people, as well. So there you go. Something they share in common.
Yeah, no. So, but it did put me in mind of two players. That goal, just the quality, there was an audible gasp before the outburst of joy in the stadium, because we have not seen a player do something like that, completely unexpected, top draw, out of the blue, ending in a goal, since maybe Ozil and Sanchez, possibly. But it did.
Alexis Sanchez, I think, definitely. Yeah,
it did put me in mind of him, but it also put me in mind of like a typical Bergkamp-esque chip as well. Like he dug a few of those out in his time. But
I remember Ian Wright's chip against Leeds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cantona's famous, non-celebration.
I'm not talking about Cantona. Will you stop using every opportunity to bring that bloody goal into?
Sorry, it's embellished on my brain.
But the fact is, look at the players we've just name checked.
This is why I'm trying not to get too excited. Yeah, it's 2 games in, but I'm already thinking, wow.
I feel like, yeah. I'm just waiting for him to get injured, obviously, in training and be out for 6 months.
Yeah, well, it crossed my mind earlier, and I can't remember. I was watching the Monday Night Football build-up or something, and it did make me worry about the World Cup, because I think Brazil are might even be favourites in some markets. So you might expect Brazil to go fairly deep into the competition.
Yeah.
And then, we've got a couple of England players. England seem to be, going quite far. France are obviously a fairly safe bet. But, how does it go? It's going to be intense. It's going to be hot in Qatar, despite it being their winter. And psychologically, would it be better if if players came back from the World Cup having won, or having gone out disappointingly late on? I don't know, but we've got, Jesus, who's probably definitely going to be playing, and then Martinelli and Gabriel, who I would assume are squad players. I don't follow other international teams as closely, so it's going to put a bit of a strain on the squad.
I haven't looked at the fixtures straight after the World Cup.
I do know. I'm pretty sure it's either Brighton or West Ham is one of our first games back.
Would that be at home?
It is West Ham at home on Boxing Day.
Right,
which would be tough.
Yeah.
And
West Ham, you got to think won't have as many players away.
No. I mean, Bowen's knocking on the door of the England squad now, but Antonio isn't. Fornals, I don't think. Ben Rama.
Declan Rice, I guess, will be.
Declan Rice will go with England, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that whole period, over the Christmas is going to be weird. Brighton's our next game away, actually. So that's tough.
Yeah. So ironically, we'll be playing kind of inverted commas smaller teams outside the big six, and you might, on the one hand, think, well, okay, that's not so bad, but within the context, it might be better to play one of the big boys because they'll also have a load of players.
Might be more disruption, yeah.
Yeah, but do you know what?
It's totally unprecedented.
Yeah, and we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. But
as will everyone else.
Indeed. So, but Gabriel Jesus, 2 stats I read about him from Orbinho on Twitter. Number one, he's now scored more outfield goals for Arsenal this season than Lacazette last season. Or goals from open play. Sorry, I should say not outfield goals. They're all outfield goals, idiot. But goals from open play. That's how the hell did we even come close to 4th?
I mean, I'll tell you what as well. Martinelli, 2 in 2.
Yeah, no, fantastic. We talked about him a lot, about this. This is his season.
Long may that continue, yeah.
And the guy just causes mayhem.
Oh, he's just...
And to add an end product onto that now, which he is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a fantastic goal he got.
Yeah.
Like left foot, he just pinged it into the bottom corner.
Great.
Like I think because of Jesus' goal and the fact it's his debut, and I think that the kind of buzz around Martinelli's goal was a bit dimmed as a consequence. That was a superb goal.
It's a great goal.
But we kind of expected him to do it almost again. So he's changing people's perception of him as well. The other stat on Jesus, I think he's become the first Arsenal player to score 2 goals on his debut, in his first game. His debut. No, I'm gonna get that right.
First home game.
Maybe home debut. So I don't. Oh, maybe it's Premier League because. Yeah, what was Ian Wright's first goal? Was that Blackburn?
Oh, no,
no, it wasn't. It was. I think it was. Oh, I don't know. Because I have a sneaky suspicion that Ian Wright scored.
I mean, a couple of other things I've observed about Jesus is that goal. When I think of his general play across the 2 games so far, it's his speed and balance and touch and everything else that's kind of taken my eye. But that chip, it just shows the variety to his game.
Yeah.
And so any defenders facing him,
they won't
that
know.
Unpredictability is he'll use to his advantage. So when they think he's going to try and beat them, he can just let fly, with a chip or a shot or whatever. Or if he dummies that, they're going to buy it because he can do it, and then he can just slalom past them and keep his balance. I'm so impressed with his balance. Yeah.
I mean, that goal, how he controlled it and dug it out from that position. But all the while, he was have been like I think someone pointed out there were 8 Leicester City players in the penalty box when he received that ball from Xhaka. So he was surrounded.
Yeah.
And somewhere in all of that, he spotted the keeper was a little bit off his line, and the little chip to the far corner was on. How? Because nobody else in the stadium even looked at the goalkeeper at that moment. It was like, it was a Bergkamp in that sense. I was always marveled at how much time and space Bergkamp.
Well, I'm probably safe in assuming you've read Bergkamp's autobiography. You've not? Oh, it's an interesting one because he essentially doesn't write it. He's employed a writer. I think it's called Stillness in Speed. I think that's the title.
Right, there you go.
And essentially, it's done through interviews. So this writer interviews Bergkamp, who talks about his career and his thought processes and his life and all those sorts of things. And the whole book is like presented as a conversation. And there's some really nice moments, just as an aside, where he's asked about something. Oh, what did your Inter Milan teammates think? And Bergkamp says, well, ask them. And then it does. It then switches over and it asks the guy, which is really good. But the first anecdote he tells right at the start in one of the first chapters is about how he always explored. He saw the way to score a goal as a percentage, what had the best success rate. And he noticed very early on in his career that, if he was one-on-one with the keeper, yes, he could put it to the side, either side or whatever. Yes, he could hit it as hard as he could, but that could go anywhere. And he noticed that, especially if the keeper was coming out, the best place was over the top. So if you could control, the flight of the ball with a little chip or a dink or whatever you want to call it, then you gave yourself a higher, chance of scoring. But he says it comes through training and practice, endless practice. That idea to be able to pull that off at speed is just incredible. And the players and all the reports are that Jesus trains like an absolute demon.
Yeah.
And there's no coincidence that a player who trains hard, clearly is just such a level above.
It's what you hear about the Invincibles a lot, that their training sessions were as competitive as Premier League games, and that's why they were so successful.
I remember Thomas Müller in Germany being asked in the run-up to a game and was asked about the opposition, and he says, "No, I'm not worried." And they said, "Why?" He says, "Because training's harder than any games we play, because the Bayern squad is so good and intense, and they hoover up all the best players." He said, "Training's harder than the games," and which is just ridiculous. But you
can see
absolutely see it, can't you? Yeah.
And his it's just his work rate, and he's so fluid as well. Like, he pops up all across that forward line and drops quite deep as well, to link up the play. Martinelli is similarly blessed with that kind of Rottweiler approach, and Saka not quite as, not quite as aggressive perhaps, or explosive possibly. We talked about Saka before as that kind of the limousine, the glider, he kind of gracefully covers the ground, and the Rolls Royce, not the limousine. What the hell? The heat. The Rolls Royce on the football pitch. But we commented on Saturday. And this is another kind of observation that makes it even more difficult to stop bloody grinning like a Cheshire cat. Is that we looked, and I think Ødegaard had a better game than I gave him credit for. He did certainly grow into the game, and defensively,
a couple of things didn't come off early on. Yeah, but like you say,
and he was very subdued against Palace in the opening game. And Saka has had 2 very quiet games for him, and we're thinking, well, bloody hell, Ødegaard and Saka find their form or play themselves into good form. Martinelli and Jesus are there. it doesn't really matter who the opposition is. If they're all firing, they're going to cause problems. And I'd love to. I wish I'd bothered to do this, but we've scored 6 goals. Yeah, second game. At what point last season did we get to 6 goals?
Right. So
I
we can probably work that out because we definitely didn't score any in the first 3.
And then we scored 1. And then we scored 1.
And we scored.
We won 1. We had 2 1-0 wins.
I reckon it must have been October. You know, there was a 1-0 win against Norwich. There were October time. Maybe.
And at what point did we get to a +4 goal difference?
I know, absolutely crazy, isn't it?
So I don't like so, and I don't think we've played to the maximum of our potential either.
No.
I still think we're a couple of players short of a real challenging top 4 squad. I don't know. Did the Liverpool game end 1-1?
1-1. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, all right. Despite that, Liverpool 2 drop points, 4 points dropped now. Despite that, I still think Liverpool and Man City will be first and second. Although amazingly, after 2 games, only 2 teams have won both. Only 2 teams are on maximum points, which is mental. Well, Man City's definitely won, and the other one.
Is it Man United? It's not Man United, is it?
Do you know, it might be. I've checked their results. I haven't heard how they've been doing.
Really?
What was I going to say? Bugger it.
Yeah, 2 teams on maximum points. You know, everyone's dropping points. Yeah,
and so I do think that, Liverpool and City will finish first and second. I also think that Chelsea and the amount of money that it appears that they'll be spending between now and the end of the transfer window as well, on top of what they've already got.
Chelsea are a funny one because I watched them in the opening game against Everton and they really looked
average,
not very good. But they have had a few new signings: Sterling, Koulibaly. They've got to adjust to the fact that Havertz at the moment is the striker. And against Tottenham, actually, for long, how they didn't win.
No, they battered them, didn't they?
It's just ridiculous. So actually, I think I underestimated the fact. Let's face it, Tuchel is a great manager, and even if they don't get that striker that they probably do need, they're still going to be a good outfit throughout the season.
Yeah, and especially if you're thinking of top 4, so 3rd spot. Yeah. So I do think that for the 3rd and 4th spot, you're looking at 2 from Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, and United. Okay, at the start of the
season. Do you know what? I think it's going to be that bad for United.
Yeah,
I genuinely do.
Yeah,
but I don't think they're in that conversation.
Yeah, and after the first 2 games, you have to. Yeah, you can't. There's no other takeaway other than that. But before the season starts, I'm still looking at United's results. I will still look at United's results because it's just ingrained. Go on, you want to say something?
Well, only that. But when we lost our opening games last season, there was still an element of, that the rational side of your brain said, well, Brentford caught us cold. We had lots of new signings, and we had our 2 strikers out with COVID. Then we played Man City, who won the league, best team in the league, and Chelsea, who started the season extremely well.
And also as European champions.
Yeah. So there was always an element of Arsenal will, of course, improve. We'll see how they do in their next few games. And we slowly built up some momentum and it all got a bit streaky, and that's fine. What do you see with United? Where do you see the improvements coming? They can't play. Brentford and Brighton. And all power to Brentford and Brighton. They look like the 2 best run clubs in the league at the minute, because you take the teams that can just throw money at it, like Chelsea and Man City, and Liverpool to some extent as well. They're doing wonderful things, but United, as people might expect, with all the money they've got, all the names, they should beat those teams. United play Liverpool again next week. It's not going to get easier. I don't think they've got a huge pool of youth players to draw from. The new signings that have come in, yes, they might improve, but do they look like a much better fit? I don't see where it's coming from.
No, absolutely. I mean, someone like even last season's transfers, Varane isn't starting in the game. Sancho is.
You've got Varane on the bench and Harry Maguire starting. And as Martinez, I know we talked about him, and the reports were generally good.
Not as a centre back,
but not as a centre back. It was as a fullback or a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
And oh my god! And you've got Varane on the bench.
Anyway, so right. So I don't know how she's going to edit this because I'm not sure exactly what. But we're talking about. Well, actually, you're drawing a comparison between United's current situation and our situation last season, and you were identifying like a number of mitigating factors or circumstances surrounding our kind of opening 3 defeats, whereas with United you're like, well,
where's it going to change?
Because I mean you've got to think like, what was it, Brighton at home, Brighton at home, Brentford away. We lost both those games, didn't we, last season? Or we certainly dropped points in both those games last season.
Yes, we did.
But then you compare the 2 games that we've just had, Palace away and Leicester at home. They're not any. And all right, Leicester is an interesting kind of case at the moment. No outfield signings, but their starting 11 was really strong.
I don't know if you saw, but Brendan Rodgers' post-match comments were very telling. They were such an obviously veiled,
subtle as a brick,
ploy to the owners at Leicester to try and invest, because he basically talked about how our transfers and incoming players had benefited us, and it's not just the individual quality of Jesus, it's also how it lifts everyone else. And we've sort of chatted earlier on about how at training, having a player like Jesus, doing what he does, really would hope lifts the bar for everyone else as well.
Especially when you see how good he is on the pitch.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Zinchenko obviously had the same training regime, same attitude. Arteta knows intimately as well. The 2 of them. There was a clip on I don't know where it came up on Twitter somewhere, of Zinchenko's reaction when the penalty was overturned, the Jamie Vardy dive, and he's proper like yes, getting on. Thought like, there's your mentality.
Good.
There's your how. I mean, I loved harking back to last season. We beat Villa 3-1 at Emirates. It was a really good game, good performance. 3-0 up. Their goal was a really good goal from, I think it might have been Ramsey. He was kind of passed it into the top corner from the edge of the area. But it came from, and it was like 10 minutes to go, it came from Thomas Partey fluffing a clearance or half-heartedly doing a clearance. And Ramsdale went absolutely mental at him. Like, he did not care who it was. The seniority was irrelevant. He went at him. Like, you don't do that. And I thought, finally, we've got some on-field accountability.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we've just been like statues after things go against us before. In the recent incarnation of our team. And I'm thinking this is so much better now. So you've got that. And that's why the Arsenal fan base love Ramsdale, because it's his attitude more than anything. And he backs it up as well. But it's the fire in his belly, that kind of determination on the pitch, and someone to not be beaten, not to hold on to those clean sheets. Although we've only had like 1 clean sheet in 9 games now, or something like that, 9 home games even, I think. There's another stat. Here's a stat for you. The last 16 Premier League games, when Arsenal have scored, when Arsenal have scored in the first half, we've gone on to win. When Arsenal have failed to score in the first half, we've gone on to lose.
Yeah, I mean,
we haven't drawn a game in eons.
No, I do feel like Arteta's sort of approach is definitely about quick starts, and it's about adjustment after that, I suppose. So yeah, that could be the first hurdle. A game that comes up where we either go behind first, or like you say, fail to score in a half. How we can adjust things, because he's got more substitutes available. He's got better options off the bench available than he would have had. So yeah, will things be able to evolve that way? Because the Palace result was very good. Leicester were there for the taking yesterday. It must be said. So yeah, Bournemouth is going to be an interesting test this Saturday.
Or how did they do? Did they?
Well, they got beat 4-0 by Man City. So it's not a game that they would necessarily.
And before the first game, did they draw
in
their
the first
game?
They drew, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or did they lose to Newcastle? Can't remember.
No, Newcastle won their first game at St James's Park, and then they drew. Who did Newcastle draw with? Was it Fulham, or was it Wolves?
No, Fulham drew with Liverpool, didn't they?
No, this weekend.
Oh, this weekend. Fulham drew with a team I can't remember the name of. I'm totally out. And now my phone's not working.
I'll tell you now.
Newcastle drew with Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton away.
And then last week, Bournemouth beat Villa 2-0 at home.
Well, again, I think they'll come at us.
Yeah.
That they can't. The Man City away result, that's not going to have any impact on their.
No.
I mean, it might if we score 2 early goals at their ground, but it's not been the most the happiest of hunting grounds for us.
I've seen us draw there. I've seen us lose there. I've seen us win there. So.
Okay, if you hadn't finished with the win there, I was going to say, you're not allowed to go on Saturday.
I've seen us win there. Yeah. I don't know why I've been there so much, considering how little they've been in the Premier League.
And I've never been there. I've got a few away grounds on my list, but I've never been to.
I do like it because for the Premier League, it is so small, but not even just small like capacity wise, although it is very small capacity wise. But it's small in stature. It's got the feel of a lower league ground. It's a lovely ground. Very neat and tidy, but it just is very small.
What's the atmosphere like down there?
Pardon?
How loud are they, the locals?
Oh, they're well supported. Very well supported. Oh, yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with the sort of noise and the atmosphere generated.
I mean, Bournemouth Arsenal is a funny one. Sky, obviously, before picking out their games, obviously fancied Arsenal to be a complete gift again, didn't they? There's no other reason for Bournemouth Arsenal to be on Sky Saturday evening game unless Sky want Arsenal to.
I mean, we obviously see it through Arsenal filter, but every time Sky put us on TV, we assume it's because they expect us to lose, because they know, and this is me being very cynical now, they know that when things do go to pot for Arsenal, it generates a lot of, comments around the media and on social media, and
I think that's right.
It's just massive. Yeah, it's a good PR move.
Yeah, let's not give it to them like we didn't give it to them against Palace.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Anything else about the Leicester game? Any other takeaways? Same team started, which is fair. I think the same team might well start next game also.
Depending on, I don't think anyone was injured, were they?
Oh yes, Ben White went off injured, but I haven't heard anything about that. So, but again, how brilliant! Ben White injured, Tomiyasu steps up. Like that's not a weakening in quality. If anything, in that position,
if it comes to it, Cedric is there. He had good moments last season.
Yeah. But we're one player further away from Cedric in the team, which is the significant thing.
The one thing we might want to talk about is the fact that Jamie Vardy, just generally getting dogs abuse all game, and then why was his dive not punished with a yellow card?
No idea.
Because he's gone down in such a way that the referees thought, oh, he's been fouled. I need to give a penalty. He gives a penalty. And then VAR, actually doing what VAR should do, says, no, you need to look at that. We think you might have made a clear or obvious error. So he looks at it and goes, do you know what? Yeah, I have made a clear and obvious error. There was minimal contact, and therefore I'm going to reverse my decision. And you would assume that what's connecting that is that Jamie Vardy has tried to con the ref into giving him a penalty, which he's done successfully. So therefore it's a yellow card. It beggars belief.
Well, then you compare that to Xhaka's yellow card for simulation in the Palace game.
Followed by...
No, it was 15
Palace.
seconds after. It was 15 seconds after the Palace one, which was almost like in the same part of the pitch, in the same offensive part of the pitch as well for the respective team. It was like, having said that, you did watch the Chelsea Spurs game. Yesterday.
Well, just went through my head to think, okay, we are going to talk at some point about, the rest of the league and where things sort of sit a couple of games in. The hair pulling incident.
I mean, how is that not violent conduct?
What I find interesting is there was lots of justifying after the fact where they were talking about, oh no, VAR only gets involved if it's affecting a goal or potential red cards. It doesn't just intervene in general fouls.
That was a potential red card.
Well, I think it is. I think pulling someone's hair.
When I saw the replay, I thought, what's a red card? Question though, because the ball wasn't in play when it happened, or was it? I'm not sure. Well, I know what I was going to say is, would it be a free kick, a Chelsea free kick, or would it be the corner taken again?
I think it would be the corner taken were it not in play.
Okay. Yeah.
But as you say, like, let's say the ball's positioned and they're waiting to take a corner, and one player thumps another player, that they're going to get sent off. He's pulled his hair and dragged the player to the ground by his hair. I find it very odd that wasn't even. How did Taylor even miss it at the first?
Well, he was right in front of him. I don't know. I mean, it's like Cucurella's got this massive shock of hair. It's like he's very visual, and it's. But also, Tuchel after the game, he was obviously hyped up. He asked the question: how many fouls are Højbjerg and Bentancur and Romero allowed to get away with in a game before they pick up a booking? And this is Conte's teams all day long.
Ooh.
But I'm really pleased Tuchel has said that in the second game of the season out loud, because I was reading today that when a high-profile manager makes a comment about a referee or something, it really puts a lot of pressure on future referees in those. Tottenham, I mean, with the stats from last season, VAR, Tottenham benefit from VAR more than anyone else. And as a consequence, and we suffered, not as much as others, but we suffered more than Spurs. And if there'd been no VAR last season, we'd have finished above Spurs if everything went with on-field decisions. Now, if there was no VAR, Leicester would have scored a penalty, or would have had a penalty just before half-time against us on Saturday. And whether they'd have scored it or not, I assume they would have, because, hey, it's Arsenal. We don't save penalties. But, I mean, how did you feel when Tottenham equalised in the 95th, or whatever it was, minute?
I have to admit, I was eating my Sunday roast. So I wasn't watching it. I saw a bit of the first half, or most of the first half, and then after that, we were eating. So I had to catch up on some of it. I mean, it was one of those. I sort of half expected Tottenham to get something, but that was purely based on the fact I thought Chelsea looked really flat the week before.
Spurs were decent for the first 5 minutes, and then Chelsea dominated. And you always felt, while it was just one goal, there was always a chance, and so on. And then they equalised, and then Chelsea scored, and they really don't like each other, Chelsea and Spurs.
No, it's nice to see.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
great.
is there anyone that has a good relationship with Tottenham? I'm not sure.
No, it does. I mean, if you see West Ham, I mean,
West Ham really don't like them.
yeah, having taught in West Ham territory for years, West Ham despise Tottenham. Chelsea clearly that's it, and then obviously there's the the Arsenal rivalry. So they just wind everyone up, which is lovely. Except it appears the FA, the media, and PGMOL or whatever they're called, because they seem to be get away. It's because Kane plays them. You can't.
Yeah.
It's that's the. It's got. There's no other reason. I mean, they're not a successful team. They've won nothing. They've
years.
won. Was it 2 trophies in 30 years? So they're on
14 years since their last one.
It's like so.
When Jonathan Woodgate lifted the Carling Cup.
Oh right, yeah, I didn't watch it. So I actually started watching the game. I thought, well, the only result I did not want was a Spurs win. That's the only result I did not want.
Well, we said exactly that on the way home. Me and the guys on, but everyone was sort of thinking about tomorrow because we were enjoying United's defeat so much. What about Chelsea Tottenham tomorrow? And I said, well, look, the thing I'll enjoy the most is a Tottenham defeat, and the thing I'll enjoy the least is a Tottenham victory. So, take it from that, really.
And the draw meant both teams dropped points, and that's important. Because they are, like I said earlier, they are. I'm not even looking at Liverpool and City, but Chelsea, and I'm looking less at Chelsea. But Spurs and United are our main 2 rivals. We need Spurs and United to be dropping points every possible opportunity. So,
well, Spurs have got Wolves next week, but Conte will be banned from the touchline. Although I'm not sure how much of a factor that'll be. Chelsea have got Leeds, but United have got Liverpool.
Yeah, and that's on the Monday again. So, right, Spurs is the first game, right? Spurs is 12:30 kickoff. I mean, it would be a great feeling to be going into the Bournemouth game knowing Spurs have dropped points. I can't see Wolves winning, but Wolves could be quite an obdurate opponent. They could be quite. How do they get on in? Let me have a look at Wolves. They drew 0-0 at home to Fulham. So
I'm not sure.
That was in.
Sarr made a horrible error in the opening weekend. They've lost.
Well, they lost 2-1 at Leeds. Spurs will win that one. Wolves aren't the team I thought they were last season. Yeah, so so I think again, win your own games. We're away to Bournemouth. I'm like, what do we talk about? We talked about the next 5 games at the start of the season, the first 5 games rather. And in isolation, you were saying that, I don't know, cognitively, or you were going to drop points in those. I'll tell you one thing you did say, which is bearing out. You said that nobody's going to win their first 5 games. Like in the league, it'd be very unlikely that any team would win. And here we are just after 2 games, and only 2 teams have won their first 2 games. So, so you may not be wrong. But Man City go to Newcastle.
Man City go to Newcastle, and then at home to Palace, who Palace have had a couple of decent results against them in various times. Although maybe they could get a draw. Palace got a draw at Liverpool today. Then they've got Forest at home.
That's 5 games.
Yeah.
So Newcastle away with the game. Newcastle will be very fired up for that. They'll be fired up.
I'm not talking about defeats. I'm not sure.
No, just
I see anyone beating them. Just dropping points. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? But yeah,
but you'd want us to go to. But you'd want us to go to Bournemouth and win. Like you'd expect that.
I'm not sure Yeah, see, that's my pessimism. I definitely wouldn't expect it. Because I'm still disappointed.
You'd be disappointed if we don't win. You wouldn't settle for a draw now. If I offered you a draw now, you wouldn't take it. So you do expect.
The only way I want a draw is if basically we have a shocking first half, go behind, and then somehow fight back in the second half to a draw. That's the only time.
But I'd still be disappointed with that.
Yeah, but at least there'd be a reaction. It would be a tempered disappointment.
I'd still be 2 points dropped.
Oh, totally. I'm totally.
Right, so you're expecting to win?
I'm not expecting to win.
Yes,
I can't
yes,
use the
you are,
word
because you
expect.
go to Man City, you go to
hoping
Anfield.
to win.
No, you're hoping. No, you go to Man City, you go to Liverpool. You just don't want to get tanked 4-0.
I'm hoping not to get tanked 4-0. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's different. You go to Old Trafford.
But I am expecting to lose.
Yes, so exactly. So away to Bournemouth, you are expecting to win.
Maybe that's why it's so disappointing when we don't.
Yes, absolutely. And also then our next 2 games are home against, was it Villa and Norwich, or what was it, Villa and
Norwich?
Norwich. It's the heat.
Fulham and then Villa.
Fulham and then Villa. Fulham and Norwich. They're interchangeable, aren't they?
Well, pretty much. Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen Fulham and Norwich in the same room at the same time? That's my question. So, I mean, Villa beat Everton, but it wasn't a comprehensive win. Their £26 million signing, is it Diego? What's his name? Is it Costa?
Carlos.
No, Carlos.
Costa, yeah.
He's out for a long period of time now. I don't know. So it's now, instead, we're not looking at winning the next 5 games. We're looking at winning the next 3 to have that first block of 5 done.
Let's just focus on the good vibes. Good vibes only.
Football 365 actually did a piece on Arsenal and talked about how they could quite conceivably be top by November. They based on the fixtures. So
okay.
Because after that we've got United away, and then we've got Everton at home and Brentford away. Then we've got Spurs at home. Okay, then we've got. Oh no! So by the 1st of October, they were saying Spurs could be coming to the Emirates with us in the top spot or top 2, and that's going to be a right tasty affair. That because then we've got Liverpool away, Leeds away, Man City at home. Yeah. That's a lot of fun.
But if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the rest. So.
Oh, for sure. And we'll have bad results, I'm sure, but.
Yeah. But a bit like, conceding against Leicester, it's how we respond to those, and you've got to keep the positivity and try and see it, the bigger picture. Because I was just so pleased with the team's response and the crowd's response.
Yeah, what I don't want to happen is you mentioned the word earlier, streaks. If we lose a game, I want it to be in isolation. I don't want it to mean that we're going to lose 2 or 3, because that's what crippled us last season. Is our response to a defeat. Now, if you're looking for clues, our response to the 2 setbacks on Saturday, straight down the other end within 2 minutes, we've scored. We reinstated our 2 goal cushion. So
even digging in against Palace,
Yeah.
All right, they didn't score.
What nicely with a 2 goal. Well, no, I suppose it was a 1 goal until right towards the end. Where are you at in terms of transfers?
That was the other thing
Runarson's gone.
Going to mention. What did you make of the chants about Tielemans when he was substituted?
We'll see you next week.
I thought that was quite strange in that I thought he had a pretty anonymous game. And
Xhaka, who he'd be replacing, you would think, was superb.
Was pretty good, yeah. So it's an interesting one.
And Xhaka around the club, he shares the mentality with Gabriel Jesus. That he's on that page as well. You can imagine Xhaka training like a demon as well, and serious and professional and all of that. I still want the other goal threat, and it's more because of what if. What if Jesus gets an injury and is out for 6 weeks?
what if he comes back from the World Cup, you know, completely exhausted or
Yeah,
whatever,
jaded and deflated, or whatever it is. Yeah.
or jubilant and has, you know, basically been at Carnival for a month because he's won the World Cup. You know what I mean? It could go either way. Yeah, there needs to be another option up front, and I still think midfield is light myself in that base. You know, Partey and Xhaka have started okay, but again, one of them goes out the side.
Yeah. Well, they were.
Lokonga could improve. It is a bit of a.
Well, if you think of our first replacement in that position in midfield, it is El Neni or Lokonga.
Probably El Neni, yeah.
And that's a marked drop in quality. And Lokonga may well develop, but El Neni is already at his peak. Whereas we've got Vieira to come in. I know Zinchenko could probably do a Xhaka replacement. So we have, as we've said before, we've got more options, like for square pegs in square holes rather than Xhaka at left back, for example. But well, it's a bit unusual. It's just a bit
positive place to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to react to it. I'm going to kind of be, you know, feign. What's the word? I don't know. What's the word? Be a bit more humble or modest. I don't know. Like I don't want to, because the higher you are, the harder you fall. We've all been there. But
I've got to do the long drive to Bournemouth at the weekend with that kind of, you know, trying not to get too giddy and too expectant.
What time are you leaving at?
We haven't really sort of decided yet, but I don't know what the weather's going to be like. Don't know what the trains are going to be like. You know,
because you'll have the Spurs game on the radio to begin with.
Spurs game on the radio on the way down, yeah, and then it'll be 3:00. You know, soccer Saturday in the pub beforehand, and then depending on how our game goes, bloody talk sport on the way home, I suppose. I don't normally bother with the phone-ins because they just do my head in. They obviously pick the people who are going to be the most entertaining rather than the most rational, whatever. But couldn't help but listen to stuff on Saturday because the Man United fans were just obviously indignant. Understandably, you know, we've all been there. But it was just hilarious.
Well, yeah. Well, my Man United mate is like, he's almost at a loss. He said he hasn't been this depressed about Manchester United since the Aguero goal. He said, yeah, I don't think he's emotionally capable of kind of delving into the depths of all the things that are rotten at the heart of that club. Because I'm hearing more and more reports about how the stadium's falling apart as well, and it's a kind of decrepit old stadium now. But it was like the beacon of Premier League stadia 15, 20 years ago. So, I mean, again, all of it just warms my heart so much. You know, I
love to see it.
It could not happen to a nicer club. That's how I feel about it. And I'm genuine, I'm sincere about that. I really am enjoying every single second of it. I mean, I really hope they don't sack Ten Hag. I hope they give him time, because he needs time.
Let's face it, they you know, there's so many parallels. Ten Hag needs to be their Arteta, and they need to ship out all that deadwood. It's taken Arteta 2.5 years to get the squad looking and feeling like the one he was.
But even Ten Hag, is he the Arteta though? Because he has.
Oh, I don't think he is. I'm just saying, like that's if they want real change, they've got to back the manager, and they can't just keep spending money on individuals and hoping their team.
His tactics were odd. He played Eriksen as a holding midfielder who's
after playing him as a false nine.
False nine. So that's weird. He's a bit of the Moyes about, and I say Moyes done really well at West Ham, but Moyes at Man United is it just linked. It just picked up players that he'd worked with. That was his kind of.
I'm just going to walk and listen because the dog's asking to go out. That's all. So you'll get a slight Cribs style tour of the homestead. We go. And I walk.
That's brilliant. So that
dog
anyone listening to this, not watching it, they are missing out like you wouldn't believe. That's an expansive pad you got there.
Well, you know,
you're still, just for those of you not watching, oh no, you've come back. Sorry, I thought you were still walking in one direction.
Oh no, I went back.
I thought, right, blimey, this is a sprawling manor you have here. You've kept the servants quiet. I'm impressed. What was I? I've lost what I was saying. What was
we were talking about Ten Hag and his tactics.
No, or no, but then also the players he's linked with are only players that he's worked with before.
I always find that a worry.
Yes, exactly. So I don't think he's the man, which is great. So I didn't want him to be the man. I don't want them to go and pick up Graham Potter from Brighton, for example. I think that would be a disaster for me, because I think he'd be brilliant. Where was I again? I lost the track again. Ten Hag. I was reading today that there are more leaks coming out of Old Trafford than my old garden shed, and he had them in for training. He cancelled their day off on Sunday, had them in for training, and he made them run. Brentford had run X number of kilometres collectively further than Manchester United, and he made them run that distance in training. And I think that's just brilliant.
Just the thought of Ronaldo.
Well, yes, absolutely. And it just I go back to like Kez, or it's like the old 1980s PE teacher getting the Clark, but punishing the class. Time,
yeah.
There's no, you know, that if you're not running, you know.
Yeah. And that was the thing, you know, we were obviously listening to it on the radio on the way home, but watching the highlights later, the stark difference between the fact that United were, I mean, I don't want to read it too much, but essentially, like hearing one pundit talk about it, let's say Brentford give away a free kick. Well, if they gave away a free kick, what they'd do is they'd be in the United players' faces. If United took it short, they'd be on them straight away. And then if the reverse happened, United would just go, here you go, have a free kick, take your time, don't worry, we're not in any rush. You know, it just, the intensity. And the phrase that I always use that's become a bit of a catchphrase is, you know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah, that's
United all over at the minute. Yeah. That is the United. They've got a talent. They've got talented players.
Yes,
but they just don't seem to be working hard enough, or they don't seem to be unified. And they are. I mean, the squad is crazy. When you look at it on paper. But
that's three managers who aren't getting a tune out of them.
Yeah, because structurally, the club is just not set up to succeed in the right way, because there aren't the young players coming in to offset and support, you know, the stars that they can bring in and address certain positions and this, that.
But also buying Ronaldo, I mean, made no sense to anybody outside of.
It was
vanity
completely.
Yeah.
They need to move away from that. Yeah. But
yes.
I'm not sure they will.
Yeah. No, it's great, and I'm delighted that we're back laughing at that.
And they're just Sky now advertising all the games that are on next week. We start with Arsenal Bournemouth on Saturday night, and we finish with Manchester United Liverpool on Monday night. That's a good weekend of football.
That. Hopefully.
Oh, you're back to hopeful now.
No, see, and you weren't. You were you gave yourself away. You expect us to win.
Do you know what got me more excited? Knowing the fact on Monday night, because we're not at work at the moment, it's the summer holidays.
Yeah.
Monday night I can sit and watch that Man United Liverpool game, and if Liverpool, do what we expect them to do and beat United on form, you would expect that. Although Liverpool aren't going great guns at the minute.
Nunez won't be playing.
But that could be just delightful. I really, really hope that we haven't plumbed the depths of where United could end up.
No, but we could drop points at Bournemouth, and Man United could start could reignite their season against Liverpool.
So that when we play United at the start of September,
they go above us.
Of course,
I have to, just for a bit of balance, have to kind of accept that that's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Palace away, Leicester home, 6 points, 6 goals, +4 goal difference. Yeah, so far so good, but that's 2 games down, 36 to go.
36 to go.
So anyway, right, look, we'll end it there.
Sorry about my internet connection.
That's all right. No one knows about that, so don't say anything because I'll have edited all that out. But now they'll know about it, and I think, what internet connection? Anyway,
you'll have to drop in a Fraser style.
Yes.
Due to technical difficulties, some of the recording was lost. Or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Enjoy the week. I hope it's slightly more humane out there. As of tomorrow,
this is awful.
It's not good. Don't like it. It's just the mugginess, the humidity rather.
And it might have to be a Sunday recording because it's going to be a late one back from Bournemouth.
I thought as much. Absolutely. I won't subject you to talking about it after getting in. Well, mind you, I won't be awake by the time you get in anyway. It'll be late one. You by midnight. God, blimey, it will.
Easily.
Yeah. Oh no, sod that. Sunday, 7 o'clock Sunday morning. All right for you, yeah? No worries.
Probably. We've got workmen round fixing a huge leak, so they're going to be here for 2 or 3 days.
I will be awake at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning, but I won't be in any fit state to communicate much. Anyway, thank you very much, and have a good week, and we'll catch you next week.
Cheerio.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.